How's it going, Knicks fans? Welcome back to another episode of Fireside Knicks. I'm your host, Dylan Backer, and I'm joined by my brother and co-host, Justin Backer. And, well, the Knicks dropped the opening night game. Unfortunately, they lost to the Boston Celtics 108 to 104 at Madison Square Garden. It was a very good game, but unfortunately, there were some very, very small things that honestly killed the Knicks. And really, that was a frustrating loss. Even though it's just game one of the season, you really felt like the Knicks could have won this game. And we're going to have a lot to talk about in this one, both good and bad things. So, without further ado, I'm just going to pass it off to Justin and let him give us a recap and his initial reactions to the game.
Yeah, off rip, I really don't know what to make of this game. On one hand, it's game one of the season, so I don't really want to overreact to a tough loss like this. But on the other hand, I'm frustrated. The Knicks really could have won this game. They had control late in the game. They were up 6 with less than 3 minutes to go. You really felt like they should have won this game, and they let it slip away, just like they have many times in the past, way too often. So it's frustrating, but it's just game one. So I'm not going to push any panic buttons or anything just yet. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson both had horrific games. Hopefully that's just some jitters, some rust, maybe just first game of the season kind of thing. And hopefully that's not a trend, like a sign of things to come for the season. Hopefully those two do not regress. Julius Randle was miserable. He had 5 for 22 from the field. Jalen Brunson just 6 for 21. They both really struggled big time with Boston's defense. You really felt like they couldn't get any easy looks the entire game, so. But RJ Barrett was great in this one. He was 8 for 20 from the field. He hit a couple threes. He was 6 for 7 from the free throw line. He had 24 points, was a team best +6. So, that's really encouraging. We talked all offseason about, his FIBA Cup where he played pretty well and he played well in the playoffs. It seems like he's carried some of that momentum into the regular season, at least from what we saw tonight. So that's really encouraging to see. And Emmanuel Quickley was probably the best player on the floor for the Knicks tonight. He was 7 for 11 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3. Also had 24 points. He was just masterful on both sides of the floor. Really, it really felt like he came in and kind of took control of the game. You really felt his presence when he was out there. Whenever he was out there, it really felt like the Knicks kind of had things going a lot. And I really wish him and Barrett had more looks in the fourth quarter down the stretch. It kind of felt like as the game kind of trekked towards the end, they were kind of frozen out of the offense, and a lot of the shots were not being taken by them, which kind of confusing. They were the only ones that really had it going all night. I don't really understand why that was the case. So hopefully that changes. This game was lost at the free throw line. The Knicks missed, I believe 12 free throws. They were 14 for 26 from the free throw line. That's 53%. That's just inexcusable. In a game that you lost by 4 points, you're looking at, an 8-point win if you convert all those free throws. So that's just inexcusable. We've seen this too many times now in the past where the Knicks lose games at the free throw line, and it's really frustrating to see that this trend is continuing into this season. Something as easy as free throws is just, it's frustrating to see a team lose at the free throw line. It's really frustrating. But some positives, the Knicks shot well from 3. They shot 44% from 3. They converted 18 of their threes. You would like to see a lot more of those easy layups go in. Felt like in the beginning of the game, there was a lid on the basket. They couldn't get any layups to fall. A lot of easy shots were being missed. Just an overall frustrating loss. I'm not going to overreact too much because it's the first game of the season, but you really hope that this isn't a sign of things to come for this season, that they can bounce back from this horrific loss. Really, you don't want to be brutal and say it's a horrific loss, but it feels like a horrific loss. I mean, you really felt like they had control of this game late, and they let this slip away. So those are kind of my thoughts on this one.
Yeah, no, I thought you had some good takeaways there. And, we knew coming into this game that this was going to be tough for the Knicks. I mean, the Boston Celtics are just a very good team. I got to give credit to where it's due. They're built very well. They're well constructed. They have balance. They have depth. They have pretty much everything you want in a team. And they're probably the Eastern Conference favorite, if not the league favorite right now. So, you got to give credit to where it's due to them. But you really, really felt like the Knicks had this one, man. I mean, you're up 6 in the final 2 minutes of the game. I mean, you got to win that. You got to hold on to that. You know what I mean? It's pretty disappointing. And as you mentioned, the free throws continue to kill the Knicks, man. I'm looking at the stat sheet right here, and out of everyone that took a free throw in this game, not a single one of them went 100%. Now, RJ Barrett did go 6 of 7, so I applaud him for that. But Julius Randle going 1 for 5, that's not that can't happen. Mitchell Robinson 0 for 2. We know he's not a good free throw shooter, but again, that's not good. Jalen Brunson took 1 free throw. It was a technical free throw, a pretty big one at that, and he missed it. Quentin Grimes also took 1 free throw. It was a pretty big free throw. It was in that 4-point play, and he missed it. It's those timely free throws that you need to hit, and they just were not making them. That's frustrating because you really feel like you're giving points right there, and you're not taking advantage of it. That's really upsetting. And another thing I want to, talk about too. We mentioned in our preview that, Kristaps Porzingis was going to be somebody to really watch for, especially with the Knicks, and the centers having trouble guarding shooting centers, specifically Mitchell Robinson. And sure enough, Kristaps Porzingis absolutely lit us up. He put up 30 points. He had 8 rebounds. He went 5 of 9 from three and 8 of 15 from the floor. I mean, they had no answer for him. They really didn't. It felt like in the second half they kind of slowed him down just a little bit, but then they gave up that game-winning shot that he ended up hitting, and that was that. That was that. You kind of just knew that was going to happen. He also went 9 of 10 from the free throw line. So every time he got to the line, he was converting his. That's a difference maker, man. The free throws make a huge difference. Boston as a team went 22 of 26 from the free throw line, and it ended up being the difference. That's 4 missed free throws, but they won the game by 4 points. It ended up being a huge difference right there. You know what I mean? Free throws matter. Free throws matter tremendously. Boston kind of just proved that, and the Knicks missing all those free throws kind of proved it. Some positives, though, they did hold Jaylen Brown to just 11 points. They didn't let him go off because, usually he likes to go off against us every time we play against him. He didn't do much tonight. He had 11 points, and he went 4 of 11 from the floor and 0 for 4 from three. So that was at least positive. They didn't hold Jason Tatum, though. Jason Tatum, on the other hand, absolutely lit us up as well. He put up 34 and went 13 of 22 from the field and 3 of 8 from three. He also put in 11 rebounds and 4 assists as well. So Jason Tatum killed us. But I mean, it's Jason Tatum. The guy is probably a top 10, if not top 10, top like 12 player in the NBA. So, it's going to happen. He's going to get his buckets. But, overall, I mean, this was just a frustrating game. Like you said, you mentioned quickly, Bear had great games. They were the ones who get their flowers in this one. They played great for what it was worth. They did what they could. I didn't like in the beginning of the game though, RJ constantly trying to go up on Porzingis. There was like a sequence where Porzingis had like 3 blocks in 5 plays. Like at that point, you gotta try something else. You gotta try something else. And they, quite frankly, they did. They tried to shoot more threes, and it ended up working for a bit. They ended up grabbing the lead and then gave it right back. That's the problem. They got to find a way to close out games. It seemed like that was kind of an issue last season, and they're kind of falling back on that trend right now. We got to hope that doesn't continue the rest of the way. Like you said, we don't want to overreact after one loss because, at the end of the day, Boston's 1-0 and we're 0-1, so it's not the end of the world right now, but you really don't want this to continue. You really don't want to get off this season off a really bad note because of this type of tough loss. This was game 1 of the season, but it felt like this was like a tough, painful loss in February. It had that kind of feel to it, like a big loss, like a game you really should not have lost. And, it's unfortunate that it panned out this way, but something I will applaud, they got down big early. They were down by, I think, as much as like 12 or 13 points, and they ended up coming back, snatching the lead. They made it a close game throughout the third quarter, fourth quarter. I think they went back down by like 9 late in the third, entering or close to the fourth quarter, whichever one it was. And then they clawed their way back. So, I mean, their resilience is still there. They still put up a good fight. I do applaud them for that, but I just wish they would have closed it out. And you really felt like they could have if they just converted free throws. The free throws, the free throws, the free throws. That is going to be very frustrating. And quite frankly, up until their next game, I'm going to be thinking about that a lot, about what the difference would have been if they would have just hit half of those free throws that they missed. Really, not even all of those. I'm not expecting a team to go 100% from the free throw line an entire game, but 53% is not acceptable. That's bad. That is just not good at all, especially as a whole team collective effort. If you're getting to the line that many times and you're only converting it 53% of the time, you got to do something about that. You can't let that happen. That's just that can't happen. It's inexcusable. Those are kind of just some of my, initial takeaways from it. I think everyone can kind of resonate with me that the free throws is just really frustrating, and that's one thing that I think everyone here can agree that needs to get fixed going into the next games. So, but with that being said, I'm just gonna pass it back off to Justin, let him, give us some extra takeaways and whatever else he's got to say about this. So.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned Porzingis' defense in this game because in the first half, you really felt like he was just dominant on the defensive end. He had 4 blocks, I believe, in the first half. And it was just, I don't really understand why the Knicks kept attempting to make shots over him. Nothing was falling. As I alluded to earlier, they missed a whole lot of 2-pointers in this game. I believe they shot like under 50% on twos, which is just absurd in a game. You know what I mean? Those are easy shots right at the basket. You should make those. And Porzingis was just a defensive stalwart tonight. He was just dominant. So it's unfortunate that it panned out that way, but I really don't understand why they kept attempting to score over him when it clearly was not working. They need to kick out the shooters more often. You also want to see Julius Randle kind of kick out the shooters more often too. There was one play in particular that stands out where He settled for a contested three when Grimes was wide open in the corner. Randall's not a bad 3-point shooter, but you have to kick it to Grimes in that situation. That's a better 3-point shooter, not only, but it's a wide open shot in the corner. That's something Grimes should make over 50% of the time, really. That's one of like his best shots. So, just some little things that I'm pointing out, really. But all in all, it's a frustrating loss. I hope they bounce back against Atlanta on Friday. You really want to see them clean up the free throw shooting, mainly, as we both have alluded to over and over again. The free throw shooting really made the difference in this game. The Knicks offense was terrible in this game. It was horrible, but yet they were still in it somehow, despite all that, and they end up losing the game with the free throw line. I mean, it's frustrating when you look back on it and have to say that, they missed a dozen free throws. That's just insane, So you really hope that this gets cleaned up on Friday against Atlanta, and hopefully we're talking about a W on Friday.
I think it was important that you mentioned some of those small plays like the Randall contested three when he could have made the extra pass. We like to nitpick a lot and kind of point out one simple play that could have made the whole difference. Now, I'm not saying that play made the giant difference. I think you and I both agreed the big difference here was the free throw shooting. And some of you guys might say, "Oh, the officiating was inconsistent." Yeah, if you want to say that, that's fine. I can live with that. But at the end of the day, the Knicks shot the same amount of free throws as the Boston Celtics in this one, and the Knicks only converted 53% of them. That right there is why they lost this game. There is really no other reason. You know what I mean? I felt like for what it was worth, they didn't play that bad of a game defensively. Yes, I know I mentioned that Porzingis and Tatum lit them up for over 30 points, but other than that, I mean, they held everyone else pretty much down. Nobody else really got into double figures except for like Jalen Brown, and I think Derek White might have gotten to double figures. But other than that, I mean, I didn't think they played that bad defensively. I thought they rotated well. I thought they were, getting to their spots. I thought in the first half it was a bit of a struggle to contain Porzingis, but after that, I thought they were doing some of the right things on defense. But offense was just hideous. Obviously, I don't expect Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle to have bad games like that all throughout the season. It just was unfortunate that they both decided to have a bad game in the season opener at that. I don't expect that to happen all the time. I think that'll be kind of a relatively rare occurrence, but it is frustrating. It is frustrating for the season to start off that way. Like you said, hopefully on Friday, we're talking about a W when they play the Atlanta Hawks. Both teams are going to be searching for their first win in that one. So hopefully the Knicks come out in this one, kind of looking for some vengeance after suffering a really tough loss, a game that they really felt like they could have won. Would have been their fourth straight win against the Celtics too in regular season play if they would have, came out on top of this one. Unfortunately, they didn't. We're not talking about a win. We're talking about an L. Sucks that we have to talk about an L, but overall, I mean, there were some positives, there were some negatives, but unfortunately, there were a lot more negatives because they ended up losing this one. So, with that being said, we would love to hear what you guys got to say in the comment section below about this game. If you need to vent about your frustrations over a tough loss, that's the place to do it. We're also on all of our social media platforms. You can follow us there. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, of course, this YouTube page, as I just alluded to. We're also on Threads as well. We're going to try to be more active on there so we can reach out to more of you guys. Make sure, you give us a 5-star rating on the audio versions of these podcasts. They're going to be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so make sure you guys check those out. And we'll see you guys on Friday when the Knicks take on the Atlanta Hawks. Peace out.